So we have that cool opening that I have to rebuild in Reaper because I did it on Pro Tools with going space. The thing we have to cross. These are not the voyages of the U.S.S. Horizon, so we will have to also re-record that. Maybe I'll get Velvet to re-record the lines after we're done this. These are the voyages of the U.S.S. Revelation. Its mission, to do better than Horizon. To not kill everyone and eject them into space.
Find new things to play with.
And if it's and when you find something you haven't seen, reach out and touch it. The scientific method.
Space, the thing we have to cross. These are the voyages of the U.S.S. Horizon. Its ongoing mission, to seek out new life, to swear it was on stun the whole time, and to boldly claim we can fix it.
Well, hello there. I'm Justin Ecock. I'll be your game master here for our return to Star Trek Adventures. Welcome, everyone. This is a fun game to return to because we are allowing you to vote for our games this year. Now, the last two, Tales from the Loop and Bluebeard's Bride, you didn't vote for because they were sort of our start. So they didn't have enough time to... I want the polls to be done in advance so we can follow along with that. And so... Now, going forward, all of the games were now caught up with the polls. This poll was held in September. You had the choice between Star Trek Adventures, The Witcher RPG, Paranoia, and I can't remember the other one that Joshua wanted to run. Oh, Tales from the Loop. We could have kept playing Tales from the Loop. And you chose overwhelmingly Star Trek Adventures. And the last game was up for October. There were 4 choices there as well. The winner has been decided. At the time of this recording, I don't know what it is. It's the middle of October. I think Masks was in the lead, which is exciting, but it could be Headspace or Aspire. So congratulations to whichever game you chose. And now in November, there are 4 more choices. So a Patreon supporter of any amount, head over to patreon.com/Terrible Warriors, and you can choose which game we will record next month and release in January. So it's kind of exciting. That first choice on that list will be Star Trek Adventures. If you want us to keep playing through the living campaign, you know what to do. Head over to Patreon right now and tell us to keep playing the living campaign. And then we will, because democracy sometimes works.
Sometimes.
I am not alone at this table, because if I was, that would be a short game. I have brought back some old players and a new player, and we are going to not be on the U.S.S. Horizon this time, as you heard in that opening. That's exciting. Welcome back, Ensign Armstrong.
Thank you.
Who is also...
Oh, I'm also Brent Morris. I'll get good at this one.
He's the most experienced podcaster in the room, and I have to prompt him to say hello every time we
I was going to say my name is Steve Armstrong.
Say your name.
You threw me for a loop.
Oh, fine then. Hi, Brent from the Showhole podcast.
Oh, thank you. Hello.
How are you been?
Things are good. I miss playing this game.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I got to play this game 2 weeks ago for Patreon. It was also a way to relearn the rules. We're also running Patreon private games every month. Instead of, we used to do cameos where you could pay to be on the podcast, and I was like, that's not ethical. I don't like that. I don't like people who can just pay their way to be on the show, and we ran into technical difficulties a lot of the times and scheduling issues, and it just wasn't sustainable. But the private games is much easier. We run them over Discord, connect in, just be available on that weekend. That you get a month's notice. And we played. They wanted to play Star Trek Adventures. Like, well, why don't we do the 23rd century version of the living campaign? And we did, and I've gotten to roll back into it. So they're flying around in the USS Lexington, having a good old time. And maybe it won't happen in this one. If we keep doing that, they might show up in our campaign, like in records, historical records and stuff.
That'd be cool.
And the things they learned might help you out and lower the difficulty in a future, kind of the way they'll send it. Like, oh, the Enterprise and Kirk went up against this. That's going to help us out today. And it doesn't at all, but never does. Also, returning to our living campaign, our science officer. Hello.
Hello. I am Lieutenant Bolasa, formerly of the U.S.S. Horizon, but still currently Velvet Duke of the Dandies.
You're still, I think, assigned to the Horizon. You've just been given a transfer.
A secondment, maybe?
Yeah, exactly. Just send over. Give you a break. Those guys sound real stressful. And Holodeck Follies still happening every month?
Still happening every month. We're in our 6th year.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
really cool. Anything happened since that Thanksgiving show I was at? Have they eaten more people of the crew?
Has everything happened
Yeah.
since then? Most recently, we did land on an alternate version of Ontario where cannibalism had just been made legal by the corrupt premier. Yeah, that was fun.
Topical.
Yeah, and there we are.
Yeah.
So Premier Donner.
Something Ford.
Something. Yeah, Droff Boar, right? That was the people over at D&D Live had the evil wizard Droff Boar ruling over the land of Tirana. And when they came on the show years ago, while we were in Toronto, we had to team up with the Green Drake to to race Droff Boar and his evil brother to the Crack of Doom.
Nice.
And we had to be the first ones to get control of the crack before Droff Boar got the crack.
Mm-hmm.
And if he got the crack, he would rule over Toronto for 1,000 years. So it was a very subtle analogy. I don't know if you follow along with the metaphor, but it aged well.
Yeah.
It aged well. So the laughter you're hearing, new to the Terrible Warriors, but not to my life. Welcome to the show, Neil.
Neil Tavares of, I guess Neil T Tattoos.
Yeah,
I
Neil T
suppose.
Tattoos. Yeah. I mean, check it out on Instagram.
Tattoo artist of the nerd community.
Yeah.
Of Toronto.
How's the Pokemon tattoo project going on?
It's going fantastic. Probably tattooed a good, maybe over 300 of them, I think, at this point.
So
yeah,
fill you in, dear listener. You originally started, Neil, with only doing the original first gen Pokemon.
That's correct,
The
yeah.
the 125 or 150.
The 150. Yeah,
and 151, I guess. If you count
151.
Mewtwo. And it's so the 151, and you're only going to do each once.
Only once. Yeah,
So
absolutely.
once someone got a Charizard, no one else is getting a Charizard.
Exactly.
And once you completed all 151 and filled in that Pokédex, you opened it up
to the complete decks,
the entire decks, every Pokemon ever. But you'll only still tattoo them once.
Only still once.
So once it's done, they're gone.
Yeah. When I made it go live, it took some time for the momentum to build up with the first 151. But then eventually, once it caught up and people really grew fond of them, they were all waiting anxiously. And so they were all just kind of on standby. So as soon as I made the announcement on Instagram that I was opening up to the full decks, like over 40 people called in the first hour.
So we got a lot of
going
Pokemon.
live.
We got a lot of Pokemon.
How
fans
many
here.
Pokemon are they up to now?
Over
700.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Less than 8, but more than
because
7.
every year or two, another generation comes out and adds
Right.
another 150 or so into the mix again. So, you've got a job for life now.
Yeah, right. One a day for at least 700 days.
And so I mean, we got a lot of Pokemon fans here on the show. We've done Pokemon the RPG. If check out Neil's Instagram. We'll have it in the show notes. We always link everyone's social media and
Cool.
give it some love. Also, Bree's not here to record because she can't stand Star Trek. We're all two goody two shoes. We're not.
Oh, man.
We're not dark enough. If we were doing a Mirror Universe game, she'd be here in a
I'd
heartbeat.
be so
would
down
love
for a
Holodeck
mirror, too.
Fallout then.
Yeah,
We are the mirror universe.
Yeah, do the Mirror Universe. I was thinking she might do a really good Tal Shiar agent, like that Romulan commander we met at Signals. I was like, Bree should be playing this commander. just a shit disturber. Bree's tattoo sleeves. I mean, I know everyone here follows her on Instagram too. All those sleeves were done by Neil. So that's really,
Those are
really
lots
cool.
of fun.
Right down to the gelatinous cube.
Yeah, gelatinous cues.
I think it's my favorite.
Don't forget GLaDOS.
GLaDOS is
was
on
awesome,
there.
too.
There's a Zerg from StarCraft.
Yeah.
You've got some stuff from Spirited Away and Shadow Colossus and Final Fantasy VII.
Tons.
It's
It's awesome.
great. Yeah,
Wow.
and there's all these little details you keep looking around. There's the forest spirits from Spirited Away are kind of climbing around different things and holding on to the back of Morpheus as he's flying through the dream world. It's crazy. There's so much
That
motion
sounds like some cool
and
sleeves.
scale, and it's not. Every time I look at it, I'm seeing something else there. We should just do a completely different podcast. Like, let me just tell you, there's one bit. We mentioned GLaDOS. We mentioned there's a Zerg, and there's also a Tonberry from Final Fantasy in there.
Yep.
The Tonberry and the GLaDOS are almost right next to each other. But GLaDOS, the needles you used make it look like brushed steel from GLaDOS's metal side. And then when right next to it is the Tonberry that looks like texture of a hood and fabric. And you can see the directions of everything the metal's all very straight lines. And when you get to the textures, it's much more like Like it's insane details.
Thank you.
Anyway, it kind of. I remember just looking at it. I was like, I want to touch it because it looks so tactile. Seeing the details, it's something else. And I know Bree was like pulling back the curtain and showing me like, yeah, you were using like different patterned needles for different textures to give that.
Yeah, exactly. I fought real hard for color too, but she wouldn't listen.
No,
she wouldn't budge.
No, I know
color.
you do a lot of color, and actually a grayscale sleeve like that on such a scale is, I think, not your usual.
Not the usual.
Yeah, all the Pokemon stuff is they're all color.
Yeah, they're all color, and they're all. I modified their colors actually so that they look like the old set colors from Gold and Silver. Oh, cool. So even the new guys that have like a bunch of different colors, I choose
what
the colors out of them. What if I want
a shiny?
Then you can have a shiny. That's it. They get a chance to choose if they want shiny or not shiny, actually. And I've done a number of shinies, but some people don't really care about the shinies all that much.
Shinies are hit or miss. Some of them look really cool, and some of them are like, oh, that's just a green.
Yeah, it's just like
Jolteon.
Slightly different
green
colors.
Jolteon looks weird.
Yeah,
but it's supposed to be yellow. Yeah. It's electric type.
Yeah.
All right. We're not here. Oh, how? That's 10 minutes. All right, we're done. Bye, everyone. See you next week. We got 3 more episodes of Star Trek to go. Okay, so we're back to Star Trek Adventures. We've introduced everyone. I'm stalling for time because this is a very different kind of
We forgot
adventure.
to introduce Neil's character.
Yeah.
No, we didn't.
Oh, no? Okay.
We haven't introduced his character yet.
Fair enough.
So we are playing today the next chapter in the Living Campaign. Last one we did was Signals. We are the stars that sing with our life is the name of this episode. And yeah, it sounds weird. It's written by Aaron Pollyea, who we interviewed here on the show, and he has been messaging me on Facebook ever since, going like, "Have you played We Are the Stars yet?" It's really weird. I'm really worried about it because it's like he's written since then a lot of Voyages for the standalone adventure book, and he's still writing on Star Trek Adventures. But We Are the Stars that Sing with Our Life is experimental, to put it nicely. It's a very, especially for a tabletop RPG group that we've done already now a number of combat and very tense dice heavy adventures, especially Tug of War, which he wrote. This is weird, and it is going to be a challenge for me as a GM and for players. And we talked a bit about it in our pre-gaming chat. If you're a Patreon supporter, you can listen to it. This is also going to offer a lot of breathing room for role playing. The pacing is going to sound I don't want to burn it up too fast. We still got to stretch it out for 4 hours. We'll see how it goes. I'm really excited. It's got an interesting little bit of a mystery. So we'll figure it out. And I'm glad we've brought like the characters we've got. Joshua, I love you. I don't think Commander Haddock is going to help us out with this one. And this is not something that some of our more trigger happy comrades would work well. This is a very fun, different thing, but it also extends the lore of the Living Campaign. If you've been listening to all of it, there have been little things that have happened that haven't been part of that main storyline. We've picked up details. We'll see. We're going to learn a little bit more today. So, Lassa and Armstrong, you're not going to be on the horizon. You've been transferred since Signals. After Signals happened, Starfleet Intelligence got involved, as seems to happen all the goddamn time when you're out on a mission. And especially Lassa, your scans of the alien artifact underneath the grounds of Seku 6, they took everything you had, everything you learned, slapped a big old top secret classified thing all over it. Everyone on the horizon was like sworn to secrecy, and because the Romulans and the Klingons want in on this, especially the Romulans, that's an issue because we're probably going to war with them like on Tuesday, and it's tough. But meanwhile, the Horizon is still doing its survey of the Expanse, but it's just doing like nebula scans. They've kind of put it into like the version of a desk job now because it's been through some time, and you and Armstrong have been reassigned temporarily for now, but we'll see how it happens. It's Starfleet; it happens all the time. Another ship from Narendra Station is understaffed, and the Horizon is obviously overstaffed given the number of support characters we've created for them, they are running on a skeleton crew, but they needed a science officer, and you happen to also have a lot of experience with the Shackleton Expanse. So you've been brought on board to the U.S.S. Revelation. U.S.S. Revelation is a Nova class. You might recognize it from its appearance in Voyager. It was the other ship that Voyager discovered out in the Delta Quadrant. It's a very small ship. Kind of looks like an arrowhead. Only like a crew of like probably a maximum of 50 people. It's small. And it's a science vessel outfitted with very advanced sensors, both an advanced sensor suite and what's the other one I have written there? It says advanced sensors and high resolution sensors. They both do different things. Advanced sensors lower difficulties of sensor rolls. High resolution sensors allow you to gain additional momentum for successful rolls because they get you even more. So the two of them synergize quite well. You also have modular laboratories, and I'll see if Neil wants to do whatever he wants with that. So you're being brought on board the Revelation, and it's en route to, I want to make sure I get the planet right, the Alpha Troyu system, specifically because civilian archaeologists who have been working there for a while now have uncovered evidence of devices that seem to match the descriptions from your investigations on Seku 6. Now, they don't know all of that. They sent in their report to Starfleet, and it set off a bunch of red flags, command, like, all right, fine, we'll break some of this classified information. We're going to send the people that know about this to go check it out. Because every single time we have found evidence of this race, this ancient race, it's stuff like artificial electromagnetic eddies out in the Shackleton Expanse. It's ancient technology that seems to allow you to seed planets with life and other like it's old and it's powerful and it's way beyond our understanding. So it's also a matter of security that we know what's going on here because there's Klingons poking around and the Orion Syndicate and and if there's anything here that might be able to help us with the Dominion threat, this is all the current political climate where they're thinking of. But of course, you're the science officer, so you're not a soldier. You're a researcher. So you've been on the Revelations now. I want to give you time to get into this new home for a few weeks, and there's one character in particular on board. Captain Riga's in charge, but Captain Riga's just a bus driver. Captain Riga takes this.
His nickname in 10
Captain
forward.
Riga takes their medical officer, who's the research head on ship, wherever they need to go for their next project. And they're not going to Alpha Troyu because they want to. They're going to Alpha Troyu because the Andorian on board wants to. And Neil, this is where we'll bring you in, so you're not sitting on the sidelines for too long.
So I am Teth Chovaquil, the Lieutenant Commander Teth, and Chief Medical Officer.
Chovaquil?
CHOVYQIL. So maybe it could be like kill. I don't know.
Chovaquil. I kind of like that. So Lieutenant Commander Teth, same rank as Lhasa, is officially the chief medical officer on board, the doctor, but also is it's a small ship. There's not a whole lot of medicine that needs to be done on a smaller ship. So it's very much also a lot of science and research and heading up those departments. Despite its size, it's such a dedicated ship to science. It has multiple departments all running on different research tasks. Usually like 4 or 5 person teams all doing something different in scans and working on different stuff as they go through the Shackleton Expanse. The Revelation's equipped with some very powerful sensors, and it's not meant for long range deep space pathfinding missions like the Horizon, but it's the one that goes off to our probes have picked up something of interest. We're sending you to find out more. So yeah, how has it been settling into a new ship? Like Horizon's a city, Galaxy class. You've got the mess hall and 1,000 crew members, so it's very easy to kind of blend into the crowd. On Revelations, you've seen the same faces every single day. And Armstrong, they needed a helmsman, so you're up there flying the ship around. You're spending time with Riga mostly, And Lhasa, you've got your science station and your own work that you've been working on independently, but you learn pretty quickly nothing really happens on the ship unless Teth gives his stamp. So that you all get to know each other before I send in the next thing.
Okay.
Okay.
Morning.
I've been doing a lot of talking. I need to take a glass of water.
Good morning. I'm not sure where to go. To be honest.
I mean, so is there a scene you'd like to have, Velvet? We can set a location and an actual moment. I know, Brent, I did this to you a lot in the last time. If there's anything you would like to propose, like, I want to be in this room at this time of day, and I'd like these characters to be there, and we can kind of set it up that way.
So how long have you guys basically been on the ship?
A couple days, a week,
couple
probably.
days.
Do you want to have the day you arrive on Revelation?
I think I would like to skip that initial
Yeah.
stranger moment and
Just,
go
it's
into
like the episode starts, and it's just like your log.
Yeah.
Start date, by the way, 48673.4. And you can give yourself a log, like the beginning of the TV, the cold opening.
Sure.
It's like, and it shows the Revelation flying through space at warp, and it's not the Horizon. This is weird. The audience is like, "Where's the ship I'm used to seeing every week?"
personal log. It's been a long time since I've been in a log cabin in the woods, remotely away from every comfort I've known.
A personal log cabin.
Personal log, yes, personal log cabin.
Brilliant.
But that's where I find myself, on the science ship Revelation. Destination Aquafina, Aquafair,
Alpha
like
Troyu.
Alpha Troyu. Some backwater place run by backwater people. It reminds me a lot of home. Let's see if I can make a new home with this crew.
Yeah, is the word revelation at all like a little? I don't want to say as hard as triggering, but Lhasa, with your religious background from Bajor, and your dad's like a Vedic and all this, like it's not the most scientific. It's got some weight behind it, right?
Some people may, in a moment of fear, go back to their religious upbringing, but having handled an orb that turned out to be a bomb, I know to be a bit
Romulan
wary.
bomb. Yeah.
A little bit wary of this time and this place. End log.
Does Brent Armstrong also have a log?
Yeah. Personal log, stardates, what he said. I've been reassigned temporarily, it seems, to the science ship Revelation.
Just driving a much smaller bus.
Yeah, it's a much smaller bus. It handles nicer than the Galaxy class, but there's nothing going on here. We were going on interesting missions, fighting Romulans and pirates, and now they're sending us out to go explore some thing on some nowhere planet. And I don't know. The one thing I can maybe look forward to is seeing some civilians. I kind of miss my Proxima family. Maybe I have something in common with them there, but it's Proxima colonies, like a great bustling
You're always talking about that colony. You haven't
metropolis.
been there for
And
8 years.
now I'm just going out to the sticks, and
It's like the guy who grew up in New York and reminds fucking everyone, no matter where they live. I'm from New York. Yeah. Like, you have been living in South Carolina since you graduated university. Can you just like settle down?
I'm starting to miss the self-sealing stumble business. I kind of wish I'd stayed home if they were going to send me out to do boring stuff like this and still leave me as an ensign
Someone wants a promotion.
and log.
Teth, do you have a log of your own?
Sure. Star date the day after yesterday.
48673.5.
Getting in a little bit of new blood here on Revelation, and a little bit excited. We've got a lot of holes in some of the information that we have, and I'm really looking forward to filling some of those. They tell me these guys are the experts. They tell me these guys are the ones who are going to start showing me all the things I'm going to need. So I'm really hoping they're helping my research and not hindering my research.
Yeah. At this point now, Captain Riga does his own log. Or her own log. Her own log.
Yeah, love it.
Captain's log, Stardate 487 3.6. Priority message from Starfleet Command has deployed us, the Alpha Troyu system, to rendezvous with the U.S.S. Mogami, now to assist in the evacuation of a team of archaeologists and several unique ancient artifacts from below the surface of the second world, which would be Alpha Troyu 2. I am intrigued by the mysteries the planet contains, but what we rescue here may be all that will answer the many questions we have about who was in that system and why. So you're all brought in for a briefing by your captain. You were en route to Alpha Troyu already, which is why you're now part of this. The archaeology team working there, the U.S.S. Mogami has already been in orbit, and they represent the Federation Corps of Engineers. And the archaeology team, which is a civilian-run organization, has been on Alpha Troyu, or not Alpha, Troyu 2, in the Alpha Troyu system. And they've been going through all of these digs and finds and devices they've been discovering. However, they now need to evacuate everyone, and the Mogami's not large enough a ship to handle it, because despite what we know about how stars work, the star in Alpha Troyu is beginning to show the signs of collapse rapidly. Like, this, something that should take billions of years is going to be in hours. It's going to collapse. They need to get everyone out of the system and off the planet, but also preserve the things that have been found, because there are answers here to these riddles in the Shackleton Expanse that have been found, but they need to get off world to continue studying, and there's just not enough time in the next 18 hours to rescue the people, and if they can't leave everything behind, and the archaeologists are refusing to leave things behind. So you're already en route. Other ships have been sent to the system as well, but they're not going to arrive there in time. With only 18 hours to go, even at maximum warp, there's just too much space between the systems, and everyone is spread out thin across the Shackleton Expanse right now. The horizon is just not going to make it in time. So Revelation is already en route, and you are now tasked with evacuating. Riga's kind of into this because it means she's now in command again. Death. And
Enjoy it.
The Mogami seems to believe that the cause of the star's collapse is not a natural occurrence. There's something happening in this system as well. So there's a mystery about what's causing this on top of the evacuation. So we've got a couple of directives from Starfleet Command. Evacuate the archaeologists is obviously paramount. Lives need to be saved. Second is also saving the research and the evidence and the artifacts. Third is uncovering the mystery of what the hell is happening in the first place. Why is this star doing this? We know a lot about stars and collapses and supernovas over the 200 years we've been flying through space. These things are predicted down to the second. This should not have caught us off guard. So the fact that it is, something has changed. What is it? Find out. Helps that you're all really good at this. I mean, except for Armstrong, you're good at flying.
Into stars.
So we're gonna arrive in the system in about an hour from now, and just as this is going on, we started getting subspace communications being sent in, going like, "Oh, our mission has changed a lot." You've got a few things you can do ahead of time. There's a reason and science task that you can all work together on to maybe work with the sensor logs that the Mogami has sent to try and understand a little bit more about what you're flying into before you arrive in the system. Because once you fly into the system, the rescue effort is going to kick into high gear. And Riga's going to be using almost everyone you've got on your support crew in the evacuation effort. You've got 3 shuttlecrafts on board. You've got 40 crew members. They're all going to be working. So for you to use a support character is also going to be to request permission from a support character from the captain to reassign them on rescue duties. So there's a few things there. And if you want to use a shuttlecraft, you're going to have to explain why it's not being used in the evacuation, because we just only have 1 transporter pad. We're a small ship. So all hands on deck here, including the 3 of you. Don't worry, Armstrong. We'll figure something for you to do.
So I guess we obviously don't need to have the conversation about why the sun why the star should not be doing this.
I don't know that we don't need to have that conversation. I think we could look at the sensor logs and see if there's any unusual energy patterns, etc. We could pore over that. We may never answer the why,
Of course.
but the how in case it happens again.
Yes, exactly.
So
I just want to say I'm not here to hinder your efforts.
Absolutely. I have heard more than enough of your expertise and behind, and I very much look forward to you furthering this entire project. And as I've mentioned before to everyone else, I'm really looking to try and fill in some of these holes, and I would really love to hear any theories on your side that you may have already come up with.
I'm not ready to share theories, but I will share this warning. I'm very much hands-on.
Understandable.
I jump into the fray if necessary to find those answers. So far, I've uncovered more questions than answers.
And you've only blown yourself. You almost blown yourself up only 2 times.
Only 2 times.
Only two. I'm
pretty
starting
much-
to look forward to getting my hands in it then, I suppose.
Yeah, you have been. I guess Teth, in reality, you've been a very theoretical researcher.
Correct. Yeah.
Whereas at the same time, Lhasa has been a very practical researcher. And so the two of you are both coming from the same ideological direction. But this guy's coming up with like, I've been there and I've seen some things.
And I feel like I'm very pressed for time, especially with the sun, with the star doing what
Armstrong
the
is
star doing.
usually chased by zombies.
Yeah.
It's,
That if need be, I may have to get my hands dirty.
All right,
I'm
before
not
we
super
arrive-
enthused about it, but
Before we arrive in Alpha Troya, who would like to give me a reason science task? It will be a difficulty of 3. Does anyone have astrophysics or something similar as a focus?
Astrometrics.
Yeah, that would work. If you could work that with a focus.
Oh, shoot. Sorry.
So Lhasa sounds like has the best setup for this, but Teth, you can absolutely assist in the
Assist.
role,
Yeah, I may as well
and the
at
ship's
least assist.
sensors can help as well. Armstrong, you can roll for the ship's sensors.
Okay, so that'll be.
It'd be computers and sensors. You add those 2 numbers together and roll under them, but we'll worry about that after Lhasa. So you're gonna have 4 dice here in difficulty of 3. So 3 of those dice are going to be a success. Lhasa will roll 2 with his own stats. Teth, you will roll 1 die using 2 of your stats. It doesn't have to be the same reason and science as his. If you've got a different thing you think would be more applicable to how you assist Lhasa, but reason and science probably makes the most sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Armstrong,
I'm picking departments and systems, right?
yeah,
Right.
so my default would probably be computers and sensors would be what I would go for, unless you've got a different suggestion.
Well, I can't combine the two systems. Right?
Then I meant
Science and
sensors.
and they're both
Yeah.
the same, so that
Yeah,
works.
science and sensors.
You could use weapons somehow if you want.
Yeah.
Fire phasers in the direction of the star. You can roll your absolutely. You brought some really kick-ass dice, Neil. I kind of really want them now. Just leave them behind. It'll be fine.
Yeah, sure.
Donate them to the.
So just a reminder for me, we're rolling low, not high.
You're
right?
rolling under the number,
Under,
yeah.
yeah.
Which is something I like about. I know Neil's first time playing Star Trek Adventures. You set your own dice check, so I might give you give me science reason. You're like science reason sucks. I would rather figure out if I can use my presence or a command instead to bolster the crew that's really doing the work, because command tends to be a very support class in this game, and you can counteract I don't want to do that because I have really crappy stats, but I want to work my best stats into this. So then you can navigate how narratively you instead use a different number that gives you a bigger advantage for successful rolls.
Okay.
Because the higher the number that you're combining, the more chance you're going to roll under it and succeed.
Gotcha.
So you set the dice check, not me.
Okay.
I just give you suggestions. But everything I tell you, when I say give me a reason science, it's not an order. It's just, this is where my default is.
Gotcha.
So I'm actually not going to use reason.
What
I'm
would you
going
like to do?
use daring.
Daring. Okay.
And my reason for that is this star should not be
Yeah.
dying as quickly as it is.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take a leap of logic or a leap of faith.
You're taking a leap of faith. You're not using your calculator. You're turning off your targeting computers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to
Nice,
find
I
the
like it.
exhaust port that is deflating the balloon of this star.
Yeah. Well, you've also seen a lot of different signals in the Shackleton Expanse. And so you're comparing that not just to, and you've got a very good memory. It's not just what's in Starfleet records, but also I've seen this before. I saw this
Right.
in the nebula with the convoy.
This inexplicable thing, I'm seeing a pattern, even though I can't name what the pattern is. Well, so I succeeded in both. And,
Okay, sweet.
And one was
an advantage. So that's
yes.
that's really. Oh, we gotta
Both
get
are
some
advantages.
tokens out here. Give me just a second. Where did my dice bag go?
We rolled 2 things,
So both of mine are advantages.
Brent
I
is going to
believe.
roll 1, and
Oh, okay.
Neil is going to roll 1.
I already
Cool.
did.
Well,
And
I
did you
did.
roll under?
I rolled a 1, yeah.
Oh, you rolled a natural 1.
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
kick-ass. And
I
what-
rolled over.
Oh, okay. So Brent's useless, but it's fine. The 3 of you succeeded. You didn't need Armstrong after all.
Story of my life.
It's one of those like, you're absolutely right. It shouldn't be doing this, so let's find out why.
Yeah.
You rolled the die for the success. The ship didn't help you out with, which is fine.
If it was the
Experimental ship.
Horizon, it would have
Oh
helped.
wait, you were using your sensors.
No,
You
I was
have
rolling.
high resolution sensors, and you have a advanced sensor suite. So the difficulty was actually 2, not 3. So you got an additional to take another momentum, and because advanced, I'm just gonna really quickly confirm here in the rule book, the ship. Ship needs a new crew. Systems. Oh, there's the NPC ship. Improved saucer separation. High resolution sensors. Sensors gain accurate data while the vessel is not in combat. Any successful task that is assisted by the ship's sensors also gain a bonus momentum. So take another momentum because of the high resolution sensors. So you got a lot of answers,
Look at this.
which is really, really good. So
That's why they brought me on the ship.
There we go.
I mean, I won't understand a single answer, but
so
It's okay.
you-
I love results. So I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
please
yeah,
more.
Yeah. and I mean, I mean, well, I built the stats for this ship for this adventure to kind of help you because we're working with 3 in a game that can support up to 6, so we're kind of at half power, which is kind of good. You might all die. So the we just went off to the Revelation, and then we go back to the Horizon. Like, what happened to Lhasa and Armstrong? I don't know. I don't know. They went out for cigarettes or something, and then they just never came back.
Never came back.
Okay, so
Just like mom.
I love you, kids.
successful. Lhasa, the star is actually going to undergo gravitational collapse in 11 hours, give or take 30 minutes. The artifacts and the people on the planet is projected to take 18. You got additional successes. You are also able to increase the accuracy of the sensor readings. There's a strange sensor shadow deep in the star. You're looking at the sensor readings from the Megami. They didn't see this, but you were able to like enhance the resolution of their own scans. There's a deep sensor shadow in the star causing compression of the stellar matter, and it may accelerate the collapse unexpectedly and may have also been the reason for this sudden collapse to begin with. Additional successes, all that momentum. Give me 1 momentum for that. All the additional momentum here you can use later to add successes to any science tests made by the characters on this mystery. So how many more did we have? Any more momentum?
3.
So 3. Just set those 3 aside for the mystery of the star and the sensor shadow. You will have successes that you can cash in later for more answers. So you're going in. You give the update time to Riga.
Captain.
We don't have 18 hours.
Captain, we have less than 11 hours to rescue everyone and everything of importance.
I mean, maybe on the Horizon we could pull something like that off, but we're a Nova class. The Magawi is Miranda. Between the 2 of us, there is just not enough space and not enough people. We'll go as fast as we can. We'll save as much as we can. The crew down on the surface is our priority. She's going to alert the security staff on the Revelation. If they put up resistance, we may have to beam them off the planet by force. Take them away from their research in case scientists, sometimes they just don't want to leave.
I'll leave that part to you. I would like to assist with the artifacts alongside Teth.
Absolutely. I mean, I have a really hard time leaving behind a lot of this research. This is people's lives here.
Riga leans on you, but it's also like, I get it. The research is important, but there's like 150 people down on that planet. And if we've only got 11 hours, we are not going to have almost enough time to get them off the planet, let alone their work.
If we don't get this work off the planet, this will be the first of many more incidences.
Absolutely. There's so much here that's unexplained, and every bit of research we leave behind, we heighten our chances.
Riga
of
puts
more
her hands in
going
the
on.
air. I get it. It's important. We save the people first. We work as fast as we can. We save as much as we can. Understand? People's lives are obviously the priority. That can't be up for debate. I'm playing her a little bit like Janeway. So.
Yeah. Understood.
I get it. I put my hands up in the air. I get it. People matter. Federation matters. There has to be a way that we can also get the research.
You know what you're doing. Keep scanning the star. See if we can learn more during the rescue operation. You sass back me again, and I'll put you on the shuttle duty.
Thank you, Captain.
All right, Revelation warps into the system. Skipping ahead to another scene, the rescue operation is going to kick into high gear. The Magawi is already working hard at it. The officer on board that ship is a Lieutenant Robert Amos of the Engineer Corps, and he's working as hard as he can to get his people off the planet as well. But they were not designed for evacuation orders. They were here to just like sit and orbit and assist and give battery packs when they needed. All shuttles on board you've only got like 2 or 3. They're all in use in getting material and people off the surface. Any possible use of shuttles by characters except between the ship and surface are going to be default no, unless you have a very good reason to explain why we're not evacuating people off the planet. When you get into the system, give you a little bit of. I don't want to lose my place here on Alpha Troyu. Am I missing a page here? I think I am. It's a 3-planet system with a giant red star. The scientists have been interested in the star. It's shown evidence of being far too young to be reached in the last stages. Before becoming supernova, some researchers have suggested an ancient species may perform some sort of re-engineering on the star that has caused it to be older than it should be. Initial surveys of the 3 rocky worlds orbiting Alpha Troyu don't show any signs of any former inhabitation or terraforming. The only evidence the unknown species left behind of their presence in the system were wrecked and useless orbital clusters circling the bloated red primary star. Now, this all changed when the civilian team were evacuating, surveyed the surface of Troyu 2. They were looking for a small but manned stellar observatory on the sunward-facing side. It's tidally locked with the sun. While taking bedrock samples, though, they broke into an underground complex, and this is what got interest to you, Lhasa, that was clearly artificial and stripped at some point in the past of anything technological. What was left behind showed the presence of an unknown species that had been found in other parts of the expanse. No operational technology or record-keeping devices have yet to be found. The Federation has been unable to determine what they term as the Troyun Builders were an independent species or a subject race of a rider unknown species spread across the expanse. Possibly even the same species that created the artifacts found on Seku 6. There's a lot of similarities in geography and size and the underground chambers and stuff. Starfleet sent the civilian archaeological team to explore the underground vaults and city-sized caverns, and a team of engineers run up by Robert Amos has been assisting them with a survey of the planet in orbit, find more underground rooms, shoring up the ancient tunnels. They've been there for a couple of weeks. They were already there when all this started happening. The tremors began just a day ago and have become more frequent along with the star's flares and other observed instabilities. The Corps of Engineers leader, Robert Amos, has sent out the extraction request. He was the one who contacted Revelation, going, "You're on great. We need to evacuate." and it's up to you to get everyone out alive, along with the petabytes of data that was recorded, various artifacts that are down there. So now that I was supposed to tell you all of that, and I didn't, and now you did. So as we're flying in, you're given your briefing by the captain, and you're finding stuff out. It sounds like time is of the essence, but you have 11 hours. There's lots of alien debris, useless clusters orbiting the star. There's Troyu 2, where the people are on, that the Magawi is orbiting, that is evacuating people from, but they are not equipped for this. Sort of neither are you, but 2 ships are better than 1. And you have agency to determine where you want to go as department heads. All your people are working on evacuation, but if there's stuff you would want to investigate in, we have a lot to research here before we have to get the hell out of Dodge.
How long were we looking at to take everybody off the planet again? How long is that going to take?
It's going to take 18 hours of the 11 that Lhasa has found we have left.
So we're looking at it's not even necessarily possible to remove everybody.
We will not get everybody.
Okay. So we're already going to be dealing with a loss.
We might not be able to get everything.
Okay. And we're running with this dark spot in the star here.
Yeah, shadow.
This shadow. Are you familiar with this kind of... Has this ever been something that's come up in some of the past experiences?
The captain does want you to investigate the star. You're the resident expert on these things.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I feel that we need to, at the very least, take a look at. We need to try and probe into this dark spot and try and find out some more information from it.
I'm not disagreeing with you. But
Do you have anything you'd like to... You had a look on your face, Brent?
I had a idea unrelated to the star, but to maybe help speed up extracting the information stored in all the computers. I've been reading some things about being able to store information in inside people's like biology. How far away is that useful? Can we upload some of the computers?
I like the way
data
you think.
onto the people so that as we're pulling them off the planet, they also have
resequencing people's DNA in order to hold data that was never designed to do that could be done. It would take several weeks, a few months of trials.
That was a
I mean, human genetic engineering is also outlawed by just about every convention. So
right.
You're from Proxima, aren't you?
Yeah, we don't.
it could be done, just not today. It's a good idea. I like what you're thinking.
I'm not an engineer.
No,
But I had a similar idea that we create some kind of relay system, either with the people, if everybody brought a pad with them, and some kind of relays between the shuttles, between the ships.
The first shuttle has come aboard the Revelation. Like, they went down, came back up. It's got a few of the researchers, and they've brought, like, trunks of their work and backpacks and materials. They're bringing that on board. There's stuff there that can be analyzed. There's the orbital constructions. There's a few others. You've got some momentum that you've got spent. And I've got answers to give you. I just can't tell them to you.
I feel like, especially when it comes to some of the guys down there, anything that can be left behind should be left behind. A lot of things could be replaced eventually, especially like belongings or whatever kind of tools, devices that's brought down there. But if we can find some sort of way in the time that we're making this preparations for each of the individuals to be bringing data with them,
Yes.
then that's what we need to do. While whoever's waiting, we obviously can't bring everybody at the exact same time. So while people are waiting, those people need to be given as much data as physically possible in order to bring up here.
Agreed.
Okay, we need to learn about this star.
So I'll focus on the star.
And we're going to be having a quick emergency meeting then on the evacuation efforts. We'll link in with the Magawi. Robert Amos definitely wants to hear what we have to do and what we can bring in to help. But Riga wants to know what's going on, like a situational awareness, before we commit to any evacuation timeline.
If I can borrow some of your staff.
Absolutely.
And we'll focus on the shadow and the compression rates.
Absolutely. I think I'd like to try and communicate with Robert Amos a little bit and maybe try and implement some sort of plan over the next while to...
The star is interesting, but so is Troyu 2. It has lots of underground caverns and things that the archaeologists have been running through. It certainly can. You have the option to scan the planet as well. There's the orbital debris orbiting the star. And yes, the shadow sensor in the star. You got kind of like three
So we
targets.
could do some more scans while things are going on as well.
If you're interested in being more practical, I suggest checking out those orbits, and I'll give you a copy of the information I have from one of the other places we've visited in the Shackleford expanse.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's lots of radio chatter too coming from the McGowie. One of the archaeologists down there by one of the head ones, name of Peter Taylor, Dr. Taylor, is he's just refusing to leave. He's not done yet. He's not done his work. He's not going to leave until he absolutely has to. And he says, "I've got a half a day, and then I'm staying till the very end." and Amos is like, "Can someone deal with this guy?" All right, thanks. So you're just hearing like there's a lot. It's noisy up on the bridge now. Lots of people moving around. But you're the science team, so Captain wants a science awareness.
So you want to handle the planet and the orbiting features?
I feel like I've connected with a number of these people down there, and if there's anyone who could possibly get through to some of them of what they need to leave behind and realize that we still need their intelligence, we still need their knowledge to continue on some of this, that maybe I stand a better chance at kind of persuading them. I've been spending this time with this smaller crew.
Yeah.
And as an Andorian, you will command them.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Any scans of any of these things, I'll give you the chance of, you got 3. You got 2 of you, so you can pick 2 of the 3. They're difficulty 0, so the successes will just generate more momentum that you can spend on answers. The obtain information spends. Reason and science would be my default if you wanted to let me know what part of the system you wanted to look into. 'Cause I'd like to tell you more about the situation, but you also just need to tell me what you want to know about.
You're referring to like some of the tunnels and such.
There's
as
the
well?
alien wreckage in orbit.
Okay.
There's the planet below that they have been intensely studying for the better part of a month, and then there's your star.
How much do we know about the wreckage at this point?
Not much.
Not
like
much.
the archaeology team has been focused entirely on Troyu 2, but they have been mostly the McGowie has been having to scan to find out there's a big cavern over here. Like they only just arrived. So they've gotten down to just dig and remove is all they know. They don't know what they've even found yet. They're still bringing them up to the labs.
And how
Good
much?
news, you've got a lot of those on board.
Okay. So as far as the wreckage, how much are we dealing with? Are we dealing with a significant amount that could not be taken with?
It's almost like a ring of wreckage around the orbit of the star.
So very large.
It's a
then.
lot of
Okay.
it, but it almost all seems like debris.
Okay, so a scan of that at the very least to find out if there's anything that is pinging off a little bit more. So
Who would like to roll for the ship? I'll give Brent
said-
a chance to roll for the ship because the other science guys are doing it. So 1 die on your part, and give me a reason and science check.
Reason and science, only 1?
You can spend a momentum to buy a die for to get up to 3. The ship is assisting you, and there's a few other things here where you might be able to get.
Would this be a good time to use something like
What were your
momentum, or
talents
would
again that you
wanna
had?
save it?
What were the talents we gave you?
The talents, proud and honorable.
No, those are values.
oh,
The
I thought
talents
that was
underneath.
I thought that's what I was reading. Testing a theory.
Oh, proud and
doc-
honorable. Yeah, you're right. Sorry.
Proud and honorable collaboration, medicine, doctor's orders, and testing a theory.
Testing a theory. Okay, so testing a theory, great.
If you succeeded once,
Every time you succeed in a previous task related to this, you can carry it over into the next one to lower the difficulty.
Okay.
So the difficulty is already at 0, so we're not worrying about difficulty here, so that
Okay.
works.
So, and now I don't think this would this be a case where we'd want to roll a momentum, or we want to save that?
Just
Okay.
roll it.
This is generation.
Ooh. So 10 and 11 is what I rolled.
And
You succeed.
you succeeded on both of them,
Succeeded on
and the
both.
ship also helped.
The ship helped.
Great. So you actually got 3 successes.
Oh, sick.
So
I'm
the
helping.
the wreckage is so I get to give you all 3 answers. The wreckage is composed of titanium alloy, all of which are they're standard materials found in modern ships. The orbit of the wreckage is off center from the star's mass in such a way as to suggest a second high mass object, but no objects are detected where that other mass should account for the orbits. So they're orbiting at a weird thing like they're going around another gravitational body, but you don't know where that gravitational body is. Okay. The wreckage seems to have once been gravitationally bound to the shadow sensor deep in the star. It could be that strange mass is affecting the orbits of the satellite debris, but it seems to really not be there. It's the shadow sensor is more like a lack of mass. Doesn't account for the gravity that would be affecting the objects. They're also because you got so high, a flicker of power in some of the wreckage. Whenever that it's starting to flare, and it's sending out lots of like those big like magnetic arcs out from the star. Whenever that flare effect hits the range of the debris, it's like the flicker of power kind of goes through like a ripple. It may be some working equipment that wasn't seen before or wasn't operational before is somewhere in the debris field, and it's interacting with the star.
Okay. I guess we need to find out if it's what the effects that's going on. Is it the star that's affecting the station, or is it the station that's potentially affecting the star?
Mm-hmm.
So as far as looking into this, more scans, or do we need to go to this thing?
Well,
The
we're
whole
still a
matters.
ways
Yeah,
away.
yeah.
so-
Lhasa
so-
still has a chance here. Do you want to scan the planet while he's doing that?
Sure.
Sure. We're almost at the end of the episode. I'm just going to kind of push you there. So
Well,
do
sure.
the exact same roll again, but this time you're doing this. You're doing the planet. And I'm going to tell you. You don't have anything that deals with geology, though.
No, I don't.
Either of you, Armstrong?
No.
No.
I succeeded once.
Only once.
And I got a success.
Into the mic, Brent.
I got a success.
You got a success. Okay, so you got 2. So the geologically stable regions of the planet have large, shallow spaces deep in the crust. Currently, all life form readings are from the caverns or in the turbolift shafts to the surface getting picked up by shuttlecraft. These are most likely the archaeology and Starfleet engineering teams. Many of the hollow spaces have breathable atmosphere in them, slightly different than Earth standard, extra argon and helium, no power readings except from known sources. And the caverns and hollow spaces all seem to be artificially constructed with ages ranging from 2 million to 200,000 years old. There's a third one, but it can only be achieved if you have a geology focus. At the end of this episode, the artifacts being recovered, the camera was just going to pan down to the cargo bay. They're a variety of shapes and sizes, but all of them have sharp edges, crystal-like. Surfaces on them is not smooth, and nor is there anything that would indicate a function except for small, sharp-edged channels that run along the surface. On close inspection, the artifacts resemble crystallized metallic meteorites and even have a faint coppery or metallic smell. Every few moments, observers start to see a flickering blue light deep inside the artifact, but the sensors always return no activity at all. So you're all up on the bridge studying the planet and studying these systems, and then we go down into the cargo bay. Maybe Armstrong has actually been down there as the helmsman. Like you're starting to carry boxes, and you're lifting them off the shuttle bay. And just as we're going to end the episode here, you're lifting one of the cargo boxes down, and as you just look away, the camera zooms in. It's kind of flickers blue, and it goes away. And none of the normal sensor scan alarms or bells that would go off, nothing happens. It's like nothing's happening at all.
So rad.
Lhasa, Bajorans are a little telepathic. You're hearing whispers. Like someone in another room is talking, you can hear it through the wall. But you're up on the bridge, there's no other rooms up there. And it's you can't make, it's just it's very faint. You can't make out anything it's saying, but it's there. Come back next week, everyone. Our first weird little episode of We Are the Stars That Sing the Story of Our Lives, or whatever, something like that, isn't it? It's such a long title,
I
Aaron.
keep thinking like Frank Sinatra every time I hear it. I don't know why.
We are the stars that sing with our life. Yeah, that's what it is. We've arrived in Alpha Troya. We are going to evacuate this system. Something more is happening, obviously, or we wouldn't be here at Star Trek. We'll find out more next week on the second episode of our living campaign with our crew of the Revelation.
Brent Morris playing Ensign Steve Armstrong.
Velvet Duke as Lieutenant Bo Lhasa.
And Neil Tavares as Lieutenant Commander Teth Chovaquil.
And I'm just Ecock, your Game Master. Thank you for listening and supporting us on Patreon. We will see you next week right here. And until then, be good to each other. Bye.
Toodles.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
The Terrible Warriors has new episodes out every Tuesday, and our next episode of the Star Trek Living Campaign will return next week. This campaign, as you heard, was voted for by our Patreon supporters. A Patreon support of any amount gets you access to our monthly polls, letting you choose our next game. The October poll is over, so the November game that we'll be recording is a return to Masks: A New Generation. You can head over to Patreon right now. Will we continue playing Star Trek Adventures: The Living Campaign? Are we going to return to Dogs in the Vineyard? Or are we going to play Urban Shadows or the Night Witches? You decide at patreon.com/Terrible Warriors. Star Trek Adventures is published, of course, by Modiphius Entertainment, and the We Are the Stars campaign was written by Aaron Pollyea. Follow us on Twitter at Dice Warriors, and check the show notes to follow everyone else who is on this show as well. Those people, your Terrible Warriors and your crew of the U.S.S. Revelation, were Neil Tavares, Velvet Duke, Brent Morris, and Game Master Justin Ecock, that's me, will return to you next week, right here on the Terrible Warriors.